This is how to make some horseradish soup. Every time I followed my mom's recipe, it didn't seem to totally come out correct. So I was lucky enough to go over to my Aunt Marie's and help her make it one day over there and watch her kind of tweak the recipe and look for some certain things that made it come out correctly. So here we go. Okay, first you need some meat, and I'm using about a 2.5 pound pork butt, and I wait till I get something on sale I got from Giant Eagle, and you can see I've chopped it up and cut it up. I salt and pepper it, and then I place it in the fridge overnight to kind of marinate a little bit before I do anything else with it. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to add about 2 tablespoons of butter, and it's not really browning the meat. What you're going to want to do is to remove the excess water and moisture from the actual meat. This is very important. The first couple times I did it, I did not do that, and it did not come out correctly. So this is very important. So I'm first going to start mixing the meat into the butter and start heating it up, browning it a little bit. And you notice as it starts to cook down, you start to see the liquid starting to come out of the meat, and every so often I'll stir it to make sure that that's being moved around. Here you can see as the meat cooks down further, all the liquid is coming out, and make sure that you keep cooking it until all the liquid has evaporated. Okay, it's been about 25 minutes, and you can see now that most of the liquid has been evaporated. It's now time to go to the next step. Okay, I'm going to chop up 2 large onions and 1 clove garlic and get ready to put that in. I'm now going to take those onions and that garlic and put that in, and I want to let them sweat for about 5 to 10 minutes until they become a little translucent. And then I will go on to the next step, which is I'll be putting in some paprika and some bay leaves, and also cover that with some water. I've now added my 4 bay leaves and my 2 tablespoons of paprika, and you see it's getting a nice color. And I've covered it with just enough water to cover the meat. And what I'm going to do now is let this simmer for a good hour. And then after an hour, I will pull out 1 piece of meat, taste it. If it's tender enough, I'll go on. If not, I'll re-go for another couple more minutes. Okay, we've been simmering now for about an hour, and I'm going to take 1 piece of meat out and give it a try. If it's tender enough, I'll go on. If it's not tender enough, I'll let it go on for another 5, 10, 15, even 15 minutes. It's tender enough. Time to go on. So now we're going to do the next ingredients, which are some bouillon cubes. I've taken 4 beef and 4 chicken. The recipe doesn't call for that, but I found out that if I use the same amount, it works well. And what I've done is I've kind of crushed them ahead of time so they dissolve faster. Put that in. Give that a stir. And the last thing we want to put in now is about 2 quarts of warm water. Stir that in and let that then simmer for another hour. So I've now mixed that in, and I will let it simmer another hour. Okay, that time is up there, so now I have placed in 7 diced potatoes already in the soup. I'm now going to put the vinegar in. Now the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of vinegar, but I like mine a little bit stronger, so when I do mine, I put in about a 1/2 cup of vinegar. And then I'll put in my 2 teaspoons of sugar. Now remember, the potatoes I just put in, so they're not cooked. So now I'm going to bring this up to a boil, and I'm going to let that potatoes cook for about 20 minutes at a slow rolling boil. Okay, we're now going to thicken the soup. Remember, it's been now boiling for about 20 minutes, so the potatoes are cooked. We're going to take 1 egg, half cup flour, 1 cup half and half, 1 cup milk, and we're going to make a thickening agent. First, we're going to take the egg and beat it up, and then we're going to take the flour, and we want to kind of make a paste out of it. So after I've beaten the egg, I'll now put the flour in, and we're actually going to make like a paste. So I'm going to keep moving it around until it becomes, the egg is mostly absorbed by the flour. Now I'm going to take about half of the half and half and start mixing that in. Now what you want to try to do is you want to try to start really getting the flour mixed in, because you don't want lumps when you go to put this thickening agent into the soup. So I'm taking my time and I'm not hurrying things up. I'm trying to make that paste finer and finer, put the other part of the half and half in, and keep mixing it and trying to totally dissolve the flour into the mixture. Now I'll take my 1 cup of milk to thin it out even more. And again, I'll mix that into it. Again, making sure I have the flour totally, absolutely dissolved before I start putting this into the soup. Now, the half and half of milk are probably room temperature, so now I want to temper this with some hot liquid to bring the temperature of the milk and the half and half and warm it up to get close to the temperature of the soup. So I'm mixing a little bit in there, and again trying to make sure it's dissolved. Put some more liquid in. And now we can slowly add this back into the soup and let that flour slowly thicken the soup. Okay, now I'm going to slowly add our thickening agent a little bit at a time and constantly keep stirring it as I add it in to keep it mixed into it. Now I do it very slowly, a little at a time. Now you'll notice that it was heated up, almost boiling. Now that the cooler liquid's slowing it down, so we're going to have to bring this back up to a boil a little bit later on. Okay, we're going to now add 3 tablespoons of horseradish. If you like a little bit more spicy, you can put more. A lot of times I wait to the very end. If I don't think it's strong enough, I'll add some of that then, so I'll stir that in. Next, we want to grate 1 carrot. And so I'm going to take that carrot and grate that now. And then we're going to add that into the soup. So I'm adding my 1 grated carrot into the soup. Stir that in. And after we stir that in, we're going to bring it back up to a rolling boil and let it cook for about 20 minutes more, 15-20 minutes, and that will be done.